Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Sirs, just with a really quick video. So the regional information on the Bushiroad website has updated with the games, what days each of the games is going to be on. But if you'll notice here, if you scroll through here, you'll see Weiss, Buddy Fight, and Dragonborn, but you won't find Vanguard anywhere. There's a glitch going on right now that is something went wrong on Bushy's end, and Vanguard is not showing up. But you can still figure out what days Vanguard is happening on by just going into the page source, the source code. So we're going to do that. So we're going to use that to take a look at what games are happening when. So to get to where it is, first thing we need to do is, does Control F not work here? So it's around line 424. Yes, this is where it starts. This is where the location data starts. So first up, we have Chicago on August 25th, and 26th. This is the standard. No Dragonborn. Day 1 is standard and Weiss. Day 2 is premium and Buddy Fight. So Weiss and Buddy Fight are no longer on the same day. They're put on day 1 and day 2 respectively, and standard and premium are on separate days, so you will be able to play both. This is pretty ideal for me because I don't really have a whole lot of interest in premium, but I want to play standard and I want to play Buddy Fight, so now I get to do both. That's pretty rad for me. Then New Jersey, again, day 1, standard, Weiss, day 2, premium, Buddy Fight, Dragonborn. Texas, day 1, standard, Weiss, day 2, premium, Buddy Fight. Richmond, BC, day 1 is standard and Weiss, day 2 is premium and Buddy Fight. Georgia, Atlanta, day 1, standard, Weiss, day 2, premium, Buddy Fight. Toronto, day 1, standard, Weiss, day 2, premium, Buddy Fight. Anaheim, California, day 1, standard, Weiss, day 2, premium, Buddy Fight, Dragonborn. Hawaii, day 1, standard, Weiss, day 2, premium, Buddy Fight. Mexico, day 1, standard, Weiss, day 2, premium, Buddy Fight. So it's pretty much the same thing across the board. Most regionals do not have Dragonborn. They're cutting down a lot of the Dragonborn regionals. But when we get into Europe, there's some fuckery happening here. So day 1 for the France regionals, the first France regionals, because there's 2 actually, is standard only, and then day 2 is Weiss, Buddy Fight, and Dragonborn. So yeah, Dragonborn is also moved to day 2 in all cases across the board. Well, almost all cases across the board. So you know, that's the thing. London. So the thing going on with the UK regionals is they've split it into 2 regionals. London is Vanguard only, so we see here day 1 standard, day 2 premium, and Huddersfield is for all the non-Vanguard games. Greece, we have day 1 Buddy Fight, day 2 standard. For Germany, we have day 1 standard, day 2 Weiss. Netherlands, we have day 1 standard, day 2 Weiss, Dragonborn. Huddersfield, as I said, day 1 Weiss, day 2 Buddy Fight and Dragonborn. Portugal is day 1 standard, and then day 2 Weiss and Buddy Fight. And then, now here's when we get into some more interesting stuff. So if you go on the website, if you go on the public page, if you go down to France, Paris, it says that it's to be, I don't know what TBC stands for. I can't remember what that stands for. But the details aren't there yet. But if you go into the source code, the games data is there. It's just commented out. But the other interesting thing going on here is that so if you look at the previous ones, like when we have standard, it's labeled as VGS. That's the class that is used for that. And if you go see, where's a premium? Then for premium, it's VGP. But on this commented out version, the class is VG1. Now my assumption is obviously that VG1 is the old class name for standard. So the assumption would be that this is day 1, standard Dragonborn, day 2, Weiss Buddy Fight. Now, since this is commented out, it might actually be not the final data, especially since this is more in line with how the previous regionals were set up, with Dragonborn on day 1 and Weiss on day 2. So this might end up being standard and Weiss on day 1 and Dragonborn and Buddy Fight on day 2. So, you know, keep that in mind. Asia Oceania, pretty standard things going on here. There's no Weiss for the Singapore regional. Or I assume they have the Japanese version Weiss still, because that's what they do over there in Singapore. Day 1 is standard and Dragonborn. Day 2 is premium Buddy Fight. Indonesia, just completely swapped. Day 1 is premium and Buddy Fight. Day 2 is standard. Then for New Zealand, we have day 1 is standard. Day 2 is Weiss. For Philippines, we have day 1 is standard and Buddy Fight. Day 2 is premium and Weiss. For the Philippines, wait, did we already have a Philippines regional? This is the second. Yeah, this is the second Philippines regional. This one is day 1 standard, day 2 premium. So only get to double down on the Vanguard ones, and as you can see on the main site. Yeah, that's information you can see on the main site. You don't need me to tell you that. Yeah. Okay, got lost for a moment there. And then Australia, which is the weird 3-day regional, has Weiss on day 1, standard on day 2, and on day 3 you have premium and Buddy Fight. So yeah, and then we have another case like the second France regionals, the Paris regionals for Malaysia. So again, we see the VG1 class. So going based off the same assumptions as before, day 1 Vanguard and Dragonborn, standard and Dragonborn, and day 2 Weiss and Buddy Fight. Again, this is the same setup that old regionals use, just like the Paris regional. So again, this might end up being standard and Weiss for day 1, and Dragonborn and Buddy Fight for day 2. Because assumingly these have been here longer, since the info hasn't been, they don't have the full info up. So this is probably like preliminary info, maybe from before they decided to change up when they're placing each thing. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen there? We just have to wait and see. And yeah, that's all of that info. Since this information isn't easily accessible, I want to just make this video really quick, so that I can help, so that there's something really accessible to help people figure out, hey, when are my Vanguard tournaments happening? Until Bushiroad fixes their shit on their site. With that said, this is Hunter Surge signing off.